Do Strava segments encourage dangerous cycling? So this question comes off the back of a story that's been all over the mainstream media this week. Basically, Strava and other apps have been asked to remove the roads around London's Regent's Park from segments after a pedestrian was killed in a collision with a cyclist. The incident happened in 2022. The pedestrian was an 81-year-old woman who was said to be hit by a cyclist that was riding up to 29 miles per hour. Sadly, she later died of her injuries. But last week we found out that no charge would be brought against the cyclist. It has, however, prompted the Royal Parks, which owns Regent's Park, to write to Strava and other cycling apps asking for the removal of the outer circle from its leaderboards. The theory is that with no segment, there would be less incentive for timed laps of the park. So, do Strava segments encourage dangerous cycling?
Ooh.
I don't know if going 29 miles an hour around the outer circle of Regent's Park is dangerous cycling. So, depends what you categorize dangerous cycling as.
Well, yeah, I guess that's it, isn't it? There are laws against dangerous cycling. You can be prosecuted. I don't know what the parameters of those are, but it was deemed for whatever reason in this case that those parameters were not met. So no charges were brought against it. It's obviously a very sad incident.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare, I would say, especially compared to... Because the kickoff about this in the mainstream media was that for cars, it's a 20-mile-an-hour zone and the cyclist was going 29 miles an hour. However, the law does not apply to cyclists in terms of speed limits because they're not the same vehicle. They don't have the same impact upon impact.
What we do know about Regent's Park is the outer circle is a mecca for cycling, road cycle or drop bar cyclists, specifically in London. I've ridden there for countless hours in the past. It's very central, but not completely central. So we used to meet up there at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. You'd meet up with your mates. You'd ride laps for an hour, just chatting away, and then go for a coffee before work. Usually the people that were training, if anyone was like taking stuff seriously, they would go early. So they would get there for 6. You would train for an hour from 6 until 7. You'd then have some chat laps with your mates from 7 till 8, grab a coffee and then head off to work. It was busy when I last rode there, which would have been 6 years ago.
Oh,
I've heard that it got
incredibly busy.
Unbelievably busy.
I think the reason that it's popular is because it's not completely car free, but there are restrictions around cars at certain times. And I think that cars tend to avoid going through it generally because of the restrictions. And therefore it makes it a good place to cycle. And what that shows me is that there aren't enough safe places, especially in cities, for people to cycle, which is why they congregate to that space.
I wanted... So in East London, there is the Olympic, the site where the actual 2012 Olympics happened. There's the Olympic Velodrome. Next to the Olympic Velodrome is the Olympic Park, or the Velo Park, they call it. It's a 1 mile closed road loop, perfect tarmac. They've got floodlights. I wanted for ages to get them to open it every morning for free use. So it was something like... It was somewhere between 5 and 10 quid to use it for a day. And they treated it as you could use it for a full day. Not that anyone's ever going to use it for more than like a couple of hours. But I was desperate to convince them to open it for free for absolutely everyone. Anyone that wanted to ride their bike safely every morning, Monday to Friday from 6 until 8 o'clock. So that there was this closed road safe space for people just to be able to ride their bikes. And I was working on the basis of it would encourage people that perhaps don't have the confidence to commute to get better at riding bikes and then go, actually, I can commute. But it was just kind of this idea of a nice, safe training space. And I think it is that's just massively lacking. But it's not just London. It's just that London has a lot more cyclists. Mm-hmm. It's the same where we are up in the northeast. Like if I wanted to do an hour's worth of training on a morning, I have to do it just on roads with commuter traffic or do it on a turbo, which I don't really want to do when it's 20 degrees outside. And that's always kind of been this this challenge of being a road cyclist. I definitely know of accidents that have happened at Regent, even from when I used to ride. There was one horrific accident that I'm aware of, and I think it happened more than once, where someone was training, and if you've ever been absolutely gassed on a bike, your head starts to drop, and someone was looking down rather than forwards and went into the back of a parked car, and fortunately did survive, but their injuries were life-changing.
Yeah.
I also do know that people, actually you were with him recently, Dan Coops. He was part of a club that had all of the top 10 spaces on the Strava segment.
Was it Onyx?
No, it wasn't Onyx. It was Regent's Park Rulers.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
They used to go, so they've got, Onyx have got all of the Richmond
Park
ones. Regent's Park Rulers had all of the Regent's Park ones.
I think Lawrence did that with them.
And they would go out as like a peloton, like a full-on crew of them with Coops, because he was an absolute monster of a sprinter. He was the sprint. So they'd basically tee him up for a big sprint finish, and then they would just obliterate it all. But they must have, if you look at the segments, the average speeds around there must be astronomical, way above 30 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I don't necessarily agree with the mentality of going out to do a hard session on a road and doing it no matter what. It's the same sort of thing as doing TTs on A roads and stuff like that, because it isn't a closed road at the end of the day. You are sharing the road with other road users. So you're potentially putting more likely yourself at risk. In most scenarios, you're gonna hurt yourself, and I guess that's up to you. But it can be bad. But also there is a chance that potentially, you are a vulnerable road user compared to a car. Pedestrians are vulnerable road users compared to you. I think that if we are using open roads for leisure, then we have to appreciate that we're not the only ones on the roads.
That's true. I think most people do. And most people are careful, and most people are considerate. However, in very, very rare circumstances, things like this happen, and it always gets made an example of, which is unfair to the rest of the cycling world. Because if the goal is less accidents and less people getting killed, put the energy into cars.
Yes.
It just doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Cyclists do not hurt people very often. It's so small.
On what you were saying there, I was actually raging to Emily the other day. So we live in County Durham, and this leaflet thing comes around talking about things that happen in County Durham, and they've got this big drive for cleaner air in Durham City. And then there's this portal you can go to so you can submit your opinion on it. And nearly all of their suggestions are around increasing park and ride, so there's less cars in the city centre. And I was like, well, it's easy. If you want less pollution in a city centre, you have less cars, and a park and ride that's not an appropriate solution. Less cars, more bikes. It's as simple as that. If you want the world to be greener, less cars, more bikes. Better infrastructure.
And some public transport.
Well, yeah, you always have to have some public transport. That's a given, but less cars, please. The point is, if there's less cars, it becomes safer, more attractive, more inviting to ride a bike. And therefore you get more people that actually live only 2 miles away from a town centre. Even if it's hilly, good regulation and good allowances on e-bikes so that you can get safe e-bikes that are strong enough to get you back up the hill home. If you live 2 miles from a town centre, you roll down a hill, it takes you 10 minutes to get there, basically. And then you e-bike it back and it takes you 15 minutes to get back. You can do that in pretty much any weather.
And all of this would hopefully also make the roads better and quieter for people that do have to use a car as well. For example, my mate Justin's wheelchair user. He wants to go to Richmond Park to ride his bike because it's the only safe place in the whole of London he can ride. Okay, Regent's Park and Richmond Park, because he's quite low down when he rides his bike. Getting to the park, he is stuck behind 1,000 cars. Without those cars, he'd be able to get there more easily. Blue badge holders, yes, 100%. Be so good if the roads were quieter.
Going back to the segments thing, we have So in the northeast, there's lots of disused railway lines that have been made into shared use paths, and we ride a lot of them on our gravel bikes. And we were walking our dog the other day, and we noticed a sign that basically had a list of rules or suggestions for users, and it was kind of be courteous to other users. There's horses here, blah blah blah. And one of the things it said was, do not create segments for any of these paths, like on Strava or otherwise. So it's purposely trying to discourage
Stop people from going
cyclists
fast.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
it actually, it's to stop people racing.
Yeah.
Because like when you're in race mode, even if it's on a segment, you do stuff. You don't slow down as much when you're going past someone.
Oh yeah. You can be going out to get a workout. Like I want to get home fast, and I'll be on a gravel track, and I'll ride hard. But if I see someone, then I'll just stop
Exactly.
and slow down and go,
Yeah,
oh, hello.
Exactly.
And then I'm stopped for like 2 seconds. But if you're trying to do a segment, that wouldn't be the case, would it? You'd buzz past them. You would be tempted to buzz past them.
Well, and I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And
See, I
that's
don't have
ultimately-
Strava. I haven't had Strava for years because it got hacked and my profile picture got changed to a picture of a lady, which was really weird. I don't know who it was. So I deactivated my Strava because I was like, this is not secure. And then I think I've got it back now, but I don't use it. And it's a nice thing to not. I'm glad I don't have it. It's another social media, isn't it?
For me, the biggest issue with segments, and I guess it is Strava because that's really the only place where segments are usable. When I started cycling, I loved them because it was always, I used to set up my own ones on my commute, and I'd always have these little sections to smash, and I loved having these little things to target. But what I know now is how unhealthy that was, and that I had this mentality of, like I like some of my mates, we would go out riding specifically for certain segments, and it's just so stupid. Whereas I would have had a much better time, and I would have been a better cyclist if I'd actually just chilled out a bit and didn't ride every single ride at like VO2 max, because I just wanted to smash segments continuously.
They're quite competitive now. The ones out in the Surrey Hills, I was with Pete recently, Coach Pete, and back in the day, many years ago, we had loads of KOMs. And then I was like, we're going to be down in London soon. Should we try and get a KOM? And he was like, there's no way. There's no way we would even get close. You'll be lucky to get a top 50 on most of them because of teams like RPR, Onyx, who go out and they like paceline them. There'll be 5 guys trying to get one person to get the segment.
Plus, with all due respect, the technology from when you were racing is quite different now.
As in the equipment.
Well, yeah.
Because the bike does matter.
Well, the full package has an impact.
Yeah, it does.
As we know, not significantly, but it does have an impact.
Most of those out in the hills, even the hills, TT bike. I was looking at one in LA. There's one of the canyon roads, which is it's like one of the bigger climbs that you can access right on the edge of the city. And I was looking up the KOMs, and then something popped up, and it was a guy on a TT bike with a moped cameraman filming it.
What?
Because it was just like they documented it for YouTube or something.
Right.
But he absolutely obliterated the KOM, and despite it being uphill, faster on a TT bike. So not only you're there without no access to your brakes, absolutely going. Obviously, they spotted you can kind of go up the climb and make sure it's all clear and stuff. That's probably what the moped was there helping with as well. But a lot of them, there's a little bit of risk involved.
Well, yeah, I can see based on that the argument from some people that segments and stuff like that then encourage you to be less thoughtful as a road user. But I think you're right, Francis. I think in the grand scheme of things, cyclists are not a danger to society in the same way that motorists are. And the danger with these kind of reports is that it always then encourages, especially the right-wing media, to have this discussion about crackdowns on policy, trying to, have cyclists have license plates and stuff like that. Interestingly, an advocate for the cyclist is Top Gear presenter James May. Did you know he was
I did know this.
cyclist?
Is this a break of doctor-patient confidentiality? He had a bike fit with James.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
James and
interesting.
James. Yeah.
James May.
He had, he had a bike fit. So
I think Cycling Mikey might be mates to them as well.
Oh.
yeah, he's always been known to ride a bike a little bit. Richard Hammond as well.
He says
Not
that
Clarkson.
said that regulation was completely against the spirit of riding a bike, and trying to cure the world's problems by adding more admin is pointless and expensive and makes life miserable.
He's right. Bikes should be like, if you're a kid, you should be allowed to safely go out and ride a bike on a road.
Yeah.
Not an A road, maybe, but your local streets. Car drivers need to slow down, let other people use the space.
Yeah.
It's what we used to do when we were kids. Go out riding on bikes. No helmet. You should be allowed to.
I guess as we were talking about with cyclists, it applies to everything. It isn't everyone. You know,
No.
like a lot of car drivers, especially in the Northeast, are
Great.
fantastic.
Yeah.
They give you so much space. They pass you slow, but it's always that tiny percentage, isn't it?